I'm J.R. Morris. It's my channel. I am in the studio today. You can see, obviously, recording some bad mandolin tracks. And I wanted to share a mandolin I picked up a few years ago. I play it sometimes. It's kind of a strange one. It's not this. This, as you may know, is my Kentucky KM150. It's a great little mandolin. You can see how shiny and dirty it is. But it's got just a great tone. It's kind of a smaller beginner mandolin, but I really like the tone, and I've done a lot of work to get it where it's at right now. Let me show you this other mandolin I've got. Now, this mandolin is what's known as a Tres Pinos. Not because there's 3 trees somewhere that they made it out of, I don't think, but it's because inside there's a sticker that says it was made by the Tres Pinos Music Company in Mexico City. I came across this fella several years ago in a pawn shop down in Lubbock, Texas. We were down visiting some family, and I come across it, and I thought, man, it's really neat looking. I mean, look at the sides. The wood on it's beautiful. It's got this neat little heel thing here. The bridge is kind of different. It's just a straight bridge. There's nothing really to it. The tailpiece, it's like a stamped out piece of metal, which does the job. I mean, it's solid right into that end. And the nut, which is unusual, a lot of people use different things. They use bone, they use ivory back in the day. Now they use like some very hard plastics that supposedly look like bone, but they work pretty good. This is what looks like a laminate of plastic or wood, I can't tell. But it's a small laminate, and it's like having a 0 fret, and then this is just a string spacer. So there really isn't a nut. That's not the nut. That's just a string spreader. It spreads the strings out. And your first fret here is your 0 fret. That's your nut. So it can get a little bit confusing to me sometimes. If I haven't played this for a while, I've been playing the KM150, I'll jump on this guy, and it's like I'm playing too far down. But other than that, the other difference that it has, being a Mexican one, there's no peg on this end to put a strap on it. Because most of the guys, when I see them, they're playing them like this. It's not the sort of instrument that we use typically in bluegrass or folk music here in the Northwest. So this is kind of an odd bodkins around here. It's got this neat little inlay. I don't believe it's an inlay. I believe it's just printed on there, some sort of laminated sticker or something, though it could be an inlay. It kind of looks like wood in that inlay, but who knows? Who knows? As far as the date of manufacture, I have absolutely no idea. However, they have guaranteed the quality from Mexico City. So if I have a problem, I can just fly to Mexico City. I don't know. It's kind of funny. Anyway, the difference between this and my KM150 is this has obviously got an A-style body with a big old sound hole, which is normal, and it's got this apron out here over the top of the sound hole where you can get out on it. It's kind of odd. Sometimes you'll see people with frets on there, but they didn't put it on this one. I don't know why. I suppose they just chose not to. The other thing about this guy is he is freaking huge. The top is made out of a very tight grain. It looks like pine or spruce. Probably a spruce. It's very, very... You can hear it ring. Put it in here by the mics. Yeah, so it's got kind of a neat sound to it. Now, the big difference between the Tres Pinos mandolin and the Kentucky KM150 is that the Tres Pinos is loud. Man, this thing is like it's super loud. It's got this very rigid side frame on it. It's got a very good top, and the back's braced really well, so it allows it to resonate both ways. And it's really loud. It's way louder than my Kentucky. You can see how much louder that is, and that's just plain straight. There's no amplification. I haven't messed around with it in the studio at all. That's just straight feed from the audio. It's that much louder than my KM150. The only complaints I've really got about it, you could maybe get something underneath here to put a strap on it, and I suppose you could drill a hole down here, though I wouldn't, because this really wasn't made to be that way. It's not that kind of mandolin. It's more of a... It's one of those kind of mandolins where you hold it up and play, maybe you play jazz, I don't know, D minor stuff. You know, it sounds good, it sounds reasonably good. It's not a super high-end mandolin, and that's okay, man. I'm really more happy playing around, playing jazz, playing bluegrass. I really love playing bluegrass, though not so much on this one. This one's really good for more of the Mediterranean style jazz stuff, following the harmonic minor scale. It's kind of neat for that. One of the things that was kind of a bummer when I got this, kind of a drag, is it's got a little bit of rust in here where it got scraped up. And replacing that piece of metal would probably be super hard, if not impossible. I don't know if you could buy one from the company. I've never really tried. I suppose you could. I don't worry about it because my hand's over it most of the time when I'm playing anyway, and nobody's going to see it. And, you know, other than that, it's a really sharp-looking little mandolin. I imagine somebody was traveling around down in Texas. They had this, and they thought, man, I need some bread. I'm going to take this in and drop it off. So they did, and probably got, you know, who knows, probably nickels based on what it's worth. But, yeah, so I came along and I found it, and I'm really pleased with how it looks, how it sounds. I've got too many mandolins, though, and I'm thinking about selling this one. It's not a terrible mandolin. It's just if I was going to keep one or the other, I believe I can keep my bluegrass mandolin. The machine heads on this are kind of interesting. They're the old style, like you'd see on a classical guitar. This company, Pinos, is also known for making classical guitars. So having these kind of machine heads and tuners actually makes perfect sense. This is kind of a classical style headstock. What you would typically see on a Spanish guitar or a classical style guitar. It stays in tune relatively well, falls into tune fairly easily. I really can't find anything bad to say about it other than it's kind of a hassle using the mandolin with no strap on it. It's really kind of a pain in the neck to try and play if you're playing with a bunch of people and you're used to playing with a strap. Now, if you're not, you get kind of good at just sort of pinching it up right here and controlling it mostly with the neck, you know. But anyway, that's what you get for $1.389 down in Texas at a pawn shop. You get a Pinos mandolin all the way from Mexico. Pretty neat little thing. If you see one of these around, I'd say play it. You know, you might be surprised by it. I've played Rogue mandolins, the ones that they sell for like $75, and they're absolute crap compared to this. I've played some of the Fender stuff, and it's spotty, and I'm a Fender guy, but Fender mandolins are kind of crappy too. Every time I see one come into the store, it's like they're either set up wrong or there's something hinky with them. You're going to spend a lot of time on the bridge. This, it's not bad. It's really not that bad. I would prefer it over most Fenders and definitely over any Rogues that you see out there. Okay, so in a side-to-side comparison, you've got the Kentucky KM150. These go for about $300. And you have to do some work on them, but they can be pretty good for a starter mandolin. Conversely, you can get something like this for about $100, less than $100 maybe, and they're all right. You don't really have to set them up. They kind of are what they are. So if you look at the distance between the bridge and the nut on these two, the KM150's got a longer scale length, which I think gives it a little sweeter tone, but the volume from this Pinos is just off the hook. It is super loud, and I think it's because it has this shorter scale length. It just barks. It's a really barky little mandolin. It'd be great for something where you're playing acoustic with people and you really want to cut through the mix so that they can hear you. This is definitely a good tool for that. This guy does okay. I've played him with other people playing guitar, and you can hear him, but not as well as you can hear this guy. So there you go. You get much better tone with the Kentucky mandolin, but you're going to pay 3 times what you'll pay for a Pinos. And the tone is reasonably tolerable. The volume's huge. You can play as quiet as you want or as loud as you want. If you can deal without playing with a strap, or maybe you want to play a more traditional style Mexican music, Latin music, South American music. I see these guys here around Olympia, Seattle area where they'll cruise around and they play the pan flute, play the mandolin, play guitar, and they wear their little ponchos and they sell CDs. And this is the kind of mandolin they play. So apparently these are big in South America too. So if you see one, for me it's a solid. Go take a look at it. You definitely need to take a look at these mandolins because I think they're worth a couple seconds of your time just to see if you can live with this for a third the price of this. So there's your Pinos compared to a KM150 Kentucky mandolin. It kind of gives you an idea what they're about. I need to get on about what I'm on about. Take care. Peace.